The following program is brought to you by Wightman TV and Bruce Telecom.
Hi, and welcome to this month's edition of What's Happening here in North Perth. My name is Sharon Darcy, and I'm the General Manager of the North Perth Chamber of Commerce, and we have an opportunity to meet a lot of really wonderful people. Today we're going to talk with Ryan Erb and Ed Hollinger, and they're going to talk about a project that came up in Listowel from the United Way and give you some details about what we're doing and how we're approaching the community with a great new plan. And following that, we have Tracy and Fred and Ryan talking about a project the United Way also put on called the Living Wage Report. And it's an opportunity for us to have a conversation in regards to employers and employees and what a living wage is all about and how it can help us move forward in our lives and make better decisions. The United Way came to Listowel on September 12th to do the kickoff campaign, announcing the $135,000 that our community is going to attempt to raise to go towards this new project. You can watch the thermometer grow at its location down at Listowel Kitchen Cupboard and Icebox.
Hi, my name is Keira Schaefer. I am 8 years old, and here I am with Community of Character. For the month of October, the character trait is empathy. Empathy is putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Okay. This means listen carefully, be encouraging, and reflect before responding. My example is when I was in grade 2, a few of my people in my class didn't have any friends when I was playing with two of my best friends, Lexi and Cameron, and I just noticed them over there sitting in the corner. And so I talked to my friends about it, and then we went over and played with them, and that's an example. The character challenge of this month is encourage and support someone you know that is going through a struggle, like I did. Thanks, and have a great month.
Thank you, Keira, for your help. That was wonderful. We are gearing up for our character celebrations in November. On Monday, November 9th, we kick off our celebrations with a food drive in support with the Self Advocates group. On Thursday night is our Together We're Better celebration. This is our 10th anniversary, and we are very excited to be celebrating character in our community. We encourage everyone to come and check out information as we start posting more details on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or our website at communityofcharacter.ca. As always, live, work, and play with character. Thank you.
The North Perth Chamber have put together a little booklet called The Taste of Listowel, and we encourage you to stop into Listowel and into our chamber office and pick up one of these books. It has 9 participating merchants that you can go visit and leave the coupon or redeem page at each of the merchants for a chance to win some Shop Local dollars. There is an entry form on the back of each of the pages that you can fill out and leave with them, and it's a great way to just shop, dine, and discover Listowel. And this booklet goes until October 31st, so we still have another month.
Hi, I am Tracy Birtch from the Social Research and Planning Council, and I am here today with
Ryan Erb, the Executive Director of the United Way.
And Fred Gorenestege from FGC Limited.
And we're here today to talk to you about the living wage. Recently, a research report was released by the Social Research and Planning Council, and we just wanted to ask a couple questions to find out a little bit more about what that is all about and how it might affect our community. The living wage has been calculated at $16.47. So how does that compare overall to incomes in our community?
Well, the living wage of $16.47 helps us to understand that it costs approximately $64,000 a year for a family to live, because it's based on a family of 4 with 2 people earning a living wage of $16.47. And when we look at the cost of living in our region, we recognize that not everyone is attaining that level. Approximately half the people in our community are not living on a living wage when you look at the household income, and so that's a big challenge that we face in our community.
So with 1647, would that be applicable to someone that was single or someone that has a family of 4, or how might that work?
Well, the calculation was made on basis of a family of 4, but we've discovered by looking at research that was done in similar communities that a family of 4 or a single parent with a child or an individual, actually the wage rate doesn't vary a great deal because there are various government subsidies that come into play, and so by the time you work out the math, 1647 is pretty close to what it would be for an individual or for a family.
Right. And did you find, was there a difference, because in Perth-Huron County there's an urban center and there's also very rural environments as well. Was there a difference? Was that taken into consideration?
Absolutely. We have, of course, in Perth County, one major urban center called Stratford, about 32,000 people, and then the rest of the region is fairly rural by its definition. There's small towns, of course, like Listowel and other places that have great people in them, but in terms of their characteristics, the rest of the region is very similar in terms of economic status. And so we did find out that in Stratford, the living wage, in fact, is actually a little lower than expected. We would have thought maybe, perhaps, that it would be higher in the urban center, but because of things like transportation, there is a bus system there, because there's more competition among grocery stores, food costs are a little less, and because there are actually higher childcare subsidies available in the city of Stratford. The rest of the region, Perth and Huron counties outside of the city, their living costs were actually higher.
Interesting. And how is the living wage different than the minimum wage? Is there a difference? It's a different amount.
Mm-hmm. Well, the living wage, of course, is a voluntary thing. It's a movement. It's a conversation that we're having with communities, and people have been having that conversation across North America for some time. And what we want to make sure is that people understand this is really a conversation about trying to ensure that people have what they need to make ends meet. We're not necessarily saying that people have to pay this tomorrow or else, and it's not a legislated thing, but we're having a conversation that's based on a moral principle, on trying to help our brothers and sisters in our community.
And what do you know what was included in the calculation, and what type of standard of life that might include?
Sure. Well, the calculation, of course, is not an overwhelming standard of life. It is the bare bones and basics of living in our community. So what's calculated in the wage are things like transportation, of course, costs to get to and from work. We have food costs in there and those kinds of things. There is a small allowance for one person in the household to receive education, because we think it's important for people to be able to continue to grow and perhaps attain better employment. So that's included in there. And even a mini vacation, a camping vacation is in there. So we recognize that people have to have some funds to do some social things and to make sure they're connected with their community in order to be healthy and balanced. And yet, there's a lot of things that aren't included that maybe you and I would take for granted.
Can you give me an example of what might not be included in the living wage calculation?
Yeah, the living wage calculation doesn't take into account things like savings for the future. So, we all know that we need to work toward retirement at some point, and, we have to have money in addition to what the Canada Pension Plan might provide, and so that's a significant factor. Many people have debt, credit card debt, or student loans, those kinds of things, and the living wage calculation does not include them. So as a result, it's important for everybody to understand this really is, a bare bones kind of approach to understanding what a living wage is in our community.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. And Fred, we wanted to talk to you as an employer in our area that offers a living wage. Can you tell me what that means to you, offering?
For us, a living wage is paying the employees that they have the ability to have a comfortable life. We're not talking about anything exorbitant here, but just that take some of the pressure off them, that they know they can meet their basic needs and have a comfortable living.
Perfect. And as an employer, is that important to you, understanding the comfort level that your employees are having at their home, with their family, being able to take care of their children and whatnot?
Oh yes, that's for us. That's really important. We know from a productivity standpoint that if our employees are happy, we're probably going to get better productivity from them. They'll just do a better overall job and get along with their fellow employees better. It just makes for a better workforce. So,
when you look at the monthly costs that employees need in order to have a basic standard of living, was that a surprise to you, the actual amount that it costs to make a living?
No, not at all. I think we all live in the community. I think we all have a pretty good idea that of what it costs to live in the community, regardless, whether it's Stratford, Listowel, or where you live in the county. And no, there wasn't any surprise to me. And I think as in our company, I mean, we look at things like the minimum wage as an absolute minimum. That doesn't mean that looks after what they need, to live a decent living. So, minimum wage, I think, I don't know. I don't think it's a fair wage.
And as an employer, have you taken time to consider the monthly expenses, or is that what was factored into offering a higher wage, or how did you come about doing that?
Well, for us, in our business, we're in the construction business, so minimum wage really doesn't apply to us anyway. We would never be able to hire a decent workforce at minimum wage. Did I consider what it costs to live in the community? No, not really. It's not like I added it up and said, I know it's going to cost X number of dollars for these people to live.
So not everyone or there has been some concern expressed about a living wage and the consequences it might have on our economy and on our community and whatnot. Do you have any thoughts on the unintended consequences?
Well, certainly. One of the things that we included in the report were conversations that we had with local employers. And so whenever you talk about trying to introduce something like living wage to a community and have a dialogue about that, you recognize that it's not as simple as waking up tomorrow and everybody is going to implement a living wage. However, when we listened to the employers, things they were challenged with was, if I pay my employers more, then maybe the product is going to cost more, that kind of thing. I mean, if wages go up, then I also have to charge more for my product or my service. So we recognize that, we understand that that's the case, but we also saw when we did the research that there were a number of reports that pointed to the positive nature of actually increasing living wages in a community. Overall, the reports suggested that not only what benefits there are to productivity, like Fred mentioned earlier, for employees and retaining them, training costs, all those kinds of things, but also on an economic level, there are reports that indicate that people will be spending more money in the economy, and as a result, that helps everyone in the economy.
And are there any social costs that might be associated with low wages, and how might that impact our community?
Sure. Well, whenever we have a lot of people that are living on less than a living wage, we start to talk about things like what the health unit will describe as the social determinants of health. We recognize that poverty, we recognize that stress in someone's life that maybe is there because they can't pay a bill, whatever it might be, that ends up turning into health challenges that they face, for example. And so, we're all concerned to make sure that we don't have longer ER waiting lines than necessary, because that is a tremendous cost on our community. Other services can be stressed because people are living with less than what they need, and so social programs are necessary, and they need to be there for people when they fall into a difficult situation. But if we as a community can find a way to elevate wages, then there is a lot of evidence that says we will have less pressure on our social systems as a community, and so there is a cost benefit to it when you look at it from a macro level.
Have you found that offering a higher wage has had any impact on your operational costs or your product fee costs? Has that had any impact?
Well, it's not just offering a higher wage. It's the sort of whole package. I mean, a big part of the cost of our production, of course, is our employees and meeting their wages. And what I say is, it's our single most important resource, and sort of at the end of the day, the byproduct is buildings. And if these people if our employees have less of these pressures at home, and we can't alleviate all the pressures they're going to have at home, but I think we end up with a happier workforce. Well, I know we end up with a happier workforce, and we deal with less absenteeism and maybe with less substance abuse and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of positive benefits, but I think there's sort of soft benefits. It's hard to measure them, but I can tell overall, yeah, it's a positive thing.
Do you have any words of encouragement for other employers that might not be offering a living wage but might be considering offering a living wage?
Well, of course. I mean, I'm a proponent of offering a living wage, so I would say, sure, I think everybody should get on board. And I think, if you're on the onset, if you're going to try to find a way, like in business, we always try to manage all our costs, and if you're going to try to find a way to measure that, it's going to be difficult, but trust me, the rewards are there. And, I think, it'll take time, but you'll see the benefits.
Wonderful. And do you have any final words on the community and how it might be impacted by living wage and ways you can get involved or help to promote a living wage?
Certainly. Well, I'm really happy that we can be standing here, first of all, with an employer to tell the story, because it's one thing for the United Way and the Social Research and Planning Council to say, this is the research findings. It's a whole other thing to have employers say that they agree with the findings and they want to promote that in the community. And so we're glad to see that this is a community effort. The report was made with all kinds of people's input. We recognize there's challenges, no doubt, in front of us, but we want to keep talking about it. And we invite the community to be in dialogue with us, to be passing on information. So that can be, either for or against. And we're not closed to having conversations with people that disagree with us. But we just want to learn, and we want to help people in our community. We recognize that if we can move to having more households in our community, it's really not okay to have half the people in our community not living at a living wage. That's a frustrating statistic for me. It manifests itself in so many difficult things in our community and requires tons and tons of effort for the community to help those people. So if we can begin to turn the tide and somehow have more jobs that are available on a stable, longer term basis. Contract work is difficult. Part-time work is difficult. If we can have more full-time employment, those are positive things. If employers are willing to volunteer to even work together sometimes, recognizing that someone has to have 2 part-time jobs, maybe they can make it more possible so the person can make their hours work better, so there's less stress on their family. There's all kinds of ways that we can work at this as a community and make things better for the employee, and hopefully it turns out, as Fred has said, that this is a benefit for the employer as well, and I think that's incredible for us to be able to say this is good for everybody.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your thoughts. If you want more information about the Living Wage Report, you can find it on the United Way website.
So these living wage reports can be found online at the United Way Perth-Huron website, or if you'd like to come into the North Perth Chamber office, we'll have one here for you. Thanks.
Well, we're here today standing in front of the Chamber of Commerce in Listowel, and we're excited to be able to announce to the community a great project that is happening because of the United Way and some community members that came together. Just a few months ago, we formed what's known as the North Perth Community Committee, and folks on that committee made sure that they did their research and homework to find out what some of the most important social issues were to them, making sure that we knew what challenges were for us here in North Perth in the region, and we also then talked about what we could do to address some of those social challenges in the region. When we were having the conversation with our friends around the table and meeting with social service providers, we quickly identified that youth mental health and access to services were 2 of the most important issues that people were facing in this community. So the United Way wants to get behind working with folks in our community to solve those issues, and one of the particular projects that we're looking at now that we're at this point, Mr. Ed Hollinger, who's the campaign chair, because we all know that when we bring new programs and services to a community, there is a financial cost. So the United Way is looking to raise money for a new youth mental health program. Ed.
Yeah, thanks. It's a privilege to be part of this particular committee that is involved with the addiction and mental health program within North Perth. I feel that the need has certainly been in the community, unknown to a lot of degrees, but has been made very prominent lately that the need is here. And if the need is here, so the financial support needs to be with it. We are a service-oriented community and municipality and have been for years. So the continuation of a service to this municipality that doesn't exist now not only enhances the ability of the municipality to grow and be prosperous, but helps the people that are involved with this particular mental health issue. We look forward to trying to raise funds to the extent of about $135,000. All the donations will be strictly put to North Perth. They're strictly for an operational situation and nothing to do with capital. You have the ability to donate as an individual or as a business or as an organization. You also can use a 3-year plan to donate over 3 years. We have a target of the $135,000, which we hope to attain somewhere in the early part of 2016.
And one of the other things that we're really excited about is that there's a committee working hard on some local events. We'll be telling you more about an event called Downtown Detective as we come along that's happening in November. And we also are excited to say that there is an opportunity for workplaces in the region to be a part of the solution here too. The United Way's fundraising model includes raising money from people in workplaces, and so we're open for new workplaces to get on board to help us out in that way, where volunteers could come and work with us to raise money from employees in the region. And that's a sustainable model that will be added to raising money from individuals over the next 3 years to make sure that the program, new youth mental health program called Crossing Bridges, can be introduced in North Perth and Listowel, and also so that we can make sure that other services in the region are continuing to be supported.
So special thanks to United Way for coming down and spending some time with us today to talk about the living wage report as well as the campaign that's going on in Listowel. The Chamber has been really excited about doing our annual Business Excellence Awards. This year we had over 66 businesses that were nominated in our online process, and so the Chamber had a lot of fun going around and bringing down this congratulatory gift and a set of balloons and taking pictures to each and every one of the nominees that went into this process. And we'd like to encourage any of the businesses or organizations that have been nominated to come to our Business Excellence Awards Gala that's being held on October the 28th at the Listowel Golf Club. And it's a beautiful evening where we get together and celebrate business and the growth of our community. And it's also a time that we actually make the announcements to these nominees who is going to be the recipient in each of the 8 categories. So afterwards, we'll be announcing it online at www.npchamber.com, and you can follow the whole event with the list of nominations that's located right on it. And we also have all of them on our Facebook page, and we're following them with the hashtag 2015 BEA nominee if you're looking for seeing who's involved in this great evening. Also, another exciting event that's coming up is the Listowel Chamber had such a great time in Ireland that we're offering a second trip. This time we're going to discover Tuscany. So if you've ever dreamed about coming to Italy and touring a beautiful countryside, contact the Chamber, and we have just received a bunch of books in that we can send out in the mail, and it has all the details to the 9-day trip that's being planned for September 22nd, 2016. And this trip is being developed through Colette Travel and Fedis Travel Plus. And all the details are in the booklet, and we'd love to share it with you if you're interested in talking about a trip next year. And I'd like to say thanks for watching this month's program of what's happening here in North Perth. I want to once again encourage you to go online to www.npchamber.com, check out the list of events, or feel free to contact us anytime. Thanks. Thanking our partners in their commitment to the Chamber, supporting our endeavors towards business prosperity and a stronger community. Our partners are Listowel Technology, the North Perth Municipality, Wightman Telecom, Ideal Supply, the Listowel Banner, Cherry Bus Lines, Canada Trust, Libro Credit Union, Conceptual Pathways, and Right Bite Orthodontics.
The preceding program was brought to you by Wightman TV and Birtch Telecom.